Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. For years, Kelly Ripa had been a constant, not just on television, but in the daily rhythm of millions of lives. Morning after morning, her laughter spilled through screens, her energy cutting through groggy routines like sunshine through clouds. She was reliable in a way few public figures ever managed to be. So when she suddenly went quiet, no Instagram stories, no teasing captions, no familiar presence on screen, people noticed immediately. At first, it was subtle. A missed post here, a delayed appearance there. Fans brushed it off, telling themselves she deserved a break. Kelly had always been open about working hard, juggling family, career, and the relentless pace of live television. Everyone needs rest, right? But days passed, then weeks, and the silence grew louder. Social media, once filled with clips of her quick wit and infectious smile, began to fill with questions instead. Has anyone heard from Kelly? Why hasn't she posted? Is she okay? The comments multiplied, stacking on top of one another like a rising tide of anxiety. Fan pages reposted old interviews, trying to decode hidden clues in past words. Screenshots from her last appearance circulated endlessly, her smile analyzed, her eyes scrutinized for signs no one had noticed before. What frightened people most wasn't the absence itself, it was how unlike her it felt. Kelly Ripa had never been silent. Inside her New York apartment, the city hummed as usual. Taxis honked, sirens wailed. Life moved on, unaware of the storm brewing in the hearts of fans around the world. Kelly sat by the window, a mug of untouched coffee growing cold in her hands. The sunlight that usually energized her felt heavy, almost intrusive. She wasn't sick in the way headlines love to speculate. She wasn't disappearing by choice either. What she was experiencing was quieter, more complicated, and far harder to explain. Burnout. Not the trendy kind people joked about online, the deep, bone-level exhaustion that comes from years of never slowing down, from always being on, from carrying the unspoken pressure of being a source of comfort and joy for others while quietly ignoring your own cracks. Kelly had felt it creeping in for months, a heaviness in her chest before going live, a tightness in her throat when the cameras cut. The laughter still came easily, but it took more out of her each time. Smiling started to feel like lifting a weight no one else could see. She told herself she'd push through. She always did. Until one morning, she couldn't. The alarm rang, the familiar routine waited, and Kelly simply sat on the edge of the bed, staring into space, unable to move. Tears came without drama, without warning, just a quiet acknowledgement from her body and mind that something wasn't right. So she stepped back. No announcement, no dramatic farewell, just silence. Back in the public sphere, that silence became a breeding ground for fear. Entertainment blogs ran speculative headlines. Kelly Ripa's shocking absence raises alarm. Commentators debated whether it was health-related, family-related, or something more serious. Theories ranged from wild to heartbreaking. Some fans feared the worst. Others clung to hope, insisting she'd be back any day. Mark Consuelos, her husband and longtime partner, became a focal point of attention too. His rare appearances were dissected with the same intensity. A tired smile, a carefully chosen word. Everything meant something to someone. Fans remembered how open Kelly had always been about her family, her marriage, her vulnerabilities. That openness made the silence feel personal, like a friend suddenly stopping mid-conversation and never finishing her sentence. "I feel like something's wrong," one fan wrote. "She's been with us every morning for decades. This doesn't feel normal," said another. Across continents and time zones, people worried. Some shared stories of how Kelly's voice had helped them through grief, loneliness, illness. For many, she wasn't just a host, she was a presence, a familiar comfort in an unpredictable world. And that's what made the panic real. Inside her quieter days, Kelly began rediscovering stillness, not the kind forced by exhaustion, but the kind that slowly heals. She took long walks without her phone. She cooked meals without rushing. She sat with her thoughts, even when they were uncomfortable. She realized how rarely she had allowed herself
But even
to
as
just
she rested,
be.
the guilt lingered. She knew people were worried. She knew speculation was growing. Yet she wasn't ready to explain something she barely understood herself. How do you tell the world you're tired of being strong? One evening, as rain tapped softly against the windows, Kelly finally opened her laptop. She scrolled through messages she hadn't answered, comments she hadn't read. Her heart tightened at the concern pouring in from strangers who somehow felt like family. She whispered to herself, "I never meant to scare anyone." The next morning, the internet woke up to something it had been waiting for. A single post. No filters, no glamour, just Kelly, sitting on a couch, wrapped in a sweater, eyes honest and tired, but present. The caption was simple. "I'm here, I'm okay, and I'm learning to breathe again." Within minutes, the post exploded. Relief washed over fans like a collective exhale. Comments flooded in, messages of love, understanding, and gratitude. Some admitted they'd been scared. Others thanked her for reminding them that even the strongest people need pauses. In a short video that followed, Kelly spoke gently, choosing her words with care. "I didn't disappear because I stopped caring," she said. "I stepped back because I cared enough to listen to myself for the first time in a long time." She didn't label it, didn't dramatize it. She spoke about exhaustion, about pressure, about the quiet toll of always showing up. Her voice wavered once, but she didn't hide it. "I've spent my life being part of your mornings," she continued, "but I forgot to check in with my own." Fans listened in silence, many with tears of their own. The panic softened into something else, understanding. Kelly promised she would return, but not in a rush, not on anyone else's timeline. She spoke about balance, about redefining success, about learning that rest isn't weakness. In the days that followed, the conversation changed. Headlines shifted from fear to reflection. Instead of speculation, there were think pieces about burnout, mental health, and the unrealistic expectations placed on public figures. Kelly's silence, once terrifying, became meaningful. When she finally returned to the screen weeks later, it wasn't with fireworks or fanfare. It was with a smile that felt lighter, realer. Her laughter came easier, no longer forced. Fans noticed the difference immediately. "She looks like herself again," people said. "No, she looks like a new version of herself," others replied. And maybe that was the truth. Sometimes silence isn't disappearance. Sometimes it's survival. Kelly Ripa's quiet moment reminded the world of something easily forgotten, that even icons need room to be human. And for her fans, the panic softened into something else, understanding. For her fans, the panic gave way to pride. Pride that the woman who had given them so much joy finally chose to give herself the same grace. Because in the end, her silence didn't mean goodbye.